Hey Andre, we're here at the Woolly Mammoth parking lot, which means we're about to head up the mountain doing the Woolly Mammoth Challenge, which is
our hands-free driving test. We want to find out if this brand new 2026 Toyota Camry and its driver assistance system, how good is it actually?
Yes, and it got a lot of driver assistance. So it has PCS, WPD, PDA, LDA, WSA, LTA, DRCC, RSA, AHB, EDSS, and of course don't forget OTA. It has all that. I'll tell you what that means when we're on the road.
I can't remember all that.
What makes this the world's toughest hands-free driving test, of course, is that we have 18 miles of traffic, of mountains, of construction,
and weather,
everything that makes it hard for a car to drive itself. So let's talk about the points.
And this is how the Woolly Mammoth Challenge point system works out. Of course, the maximum points is 100. That would be perfect. But if the car doesn't have a hands-free driving mode, that's negative 25 points, as we already talked about. Now, if it doesn't have point-to-point, it's another negative 25 points. Now, it gets a little bit more interesting because cost is a big deal. So, of course, it could be free, it could be included. That means you lose no points. But subscription for each $10 per month, we would subtract negative 1 point. So this could be a big point deduction in the future. Next up, if the driver assistance system disengages and the driver has to step in and take over, depending on the severity of that event, could be -5 or -10 points. It just depends on how dramatic that takeover is. Now, if the driver assistance system keeps nagging you, if you look away for a second at the mirror and it rings a bell or some other version of nagging, that's negative, once again, 5 or negative 10 points, depending on the severity. Next up is jail. This is a big deal because this means that the system thought that you looked away too many times and it puts you in jail, meaning it disconnects the system completely until the vehicle is power cycled. So we don't want that to happen. So we would subtract 25 points because what's the point of having a system if it puts you in jail? Now, finally, most critically, if the vehicle puts you into a dangerous situation and an accident could be imminent, that's an immediate fail. That's negative 100 points.
Let me just tell you all this stuff that you get. So you get PCSWPD. You know what that stands for?
Okay, please explain it because it sounds like a bunch of diseases.
Pre-collision system with pedestrian detection.
Yeah, that's good.
Enhanced to detect motorcyclists, bicyclists, and guardrails. So
okay.
The guardrail part will come into this. And in case you guys are wondering, are we testing this in a city situation? No, this is a highway test. We're specifically testing it on the highway because, let's face it, this is where most people are going to use it.
Exactly.
All right, PDA, Proactive Driving Assist. You know what that is?
I just turned this on. Hopefully that means that it's a distance-controlled adaptive cruise control system with lane tracing.
Nope, it's a new core feature that provides gentle braking and or steering to support driving tasks like distance controls between preceding vehicles, pedestrians, bicyclists, blah, 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 blah. Then you've got LDA WSA, that's lane departure alert with steering assist.
Okay.
And that detects lane markings and provides alerts and minor steering corrections if drifting is detected. And then you have LTA, which is lane tracing assist, uses cameras and radar to keep the vehicle centered in its lane, now with improved lane recognition. That all sounds the same to me, Andre.
Yeah, because if it can stay in the lane, it can stay in the lane,
yeah,
right?
Yeah, I don't understand the difference between lane departure alert and lane tracing assist.
Well, I could feel the steering wheel steering for me,
okay.
But I have to keep my hands on the steering wheel because this does not technically have a hands-free system.
Well, we'll take it off and I can time you, but before we do that, let me keep going because there's more. There's also DRCC, which is full speed range dynamic radar cruise control, maintains a set speed following distance with 4 distance settings and improved smoother operation.
Yes, and I have the shortest distance setting set right now.
Okay, RSA, you know what that is?
That is that a band?
Road sign. assist. So in other words, it uses a camera to identify speed limits, stop signs, and yield signs, displaying them on the multi-informational display.
Well, you know what? Right now it's telling me that the speed limit is 55,
Yep.
but I know that it's 65.
All right, next is AHB. You'll never guess that one. H as in Harry, B.
I don't know that.
Automatic high beams.
Ooh.
Detects oncoming or preceding vehicles and automatically switches between low. So it basically keeps you from blocking
Yeah, but
people.
that system existed for many, many years.
Yep, and then finally EDSS, which is not erectile, you know what? It's emergency driving stop system, which designed to bring the vehicle to a stop if it detects the driver is not paying attention or is unresponsive. So if you pass out,
I have a stroke,
yeah, then you'll be driven to the side of the road automatically.
that would be nice.
All right, and finally OTA, which we know stands for over-the-air updates.
Yes.
All right, so do you want to do a test to see how long it lets you keep your hands off the wheel?
We could do that if you could time me, because currently the system is engaged.
Okay.
We have basically all the features turned on because you could selectively turn them off, right?
Okay, 3, 2, 1, go. All right, I got the stopwatch going until it yells at you. Now, normally, if this were a hands-free system and it yelled at you, that would be a deduction. But since this is not a hands-free system, it's not going to yell at you. Is it? Oh, there it goes. Yep, there it goes.
There
Stop.
it is.
15 seconds.
Okay, that sounds something like programmed, like 15 seconds, and then it just reminds you to put some torque into the steering wheel, right? There's a torque sensor in the
I don't know
steering
if
wheel.
Toyota uses a torque sensor or if it uses like
Even a haptic like sensor if the warmth of my
the haptic
hands.
Yeah, the torque sensors are cheaper. I hate those because oftentimes I was just in a Super Cruise system that used it, and you had to keep your hand on the. No, it was actually Super Cruise. No, it was Blue Cruise. Sorry, I'm getting them mixed up because there's Super Cruise and Blue Cruise. Who would get that mixed up? But in the Ford, I had to keep, even though I had my hand on the wheel, I had to keep kind of nudging the wheel up and down.
That hand gesture is really wrong, Roman.
I just had to keep moving the wheel.
Okay.
How's this?
Okay, that's better.
No, that's wrong. Let's talk about the price. Let's just switch gears.
Well, let's talk about the car because this is the best-selling sedan in the country.
How many does it sell? How many units?
Over 310,000 of these Camrys, well, all Camrys were sold in the US in 2025.
Yeah, and as you know, all Camrys are now hybrids, which means that this car, get this, Andre, gets 46 on the highway, 46 in the city, and 46 combined. It's amazing that a full-size family car gets 46 MPG.
Yes, it is still amazing.
And this one, as tested, is $37,903, basically $38,000.
Well, this is the new Nightshade edition, which means it's kind of based on their sporty SC trim, right? But then they add all kind of the dark badging, the blacked out wheels, so it's got a little bit of flair to it.
We're going around a turn. Are you turning or is it turning?
Well, it's turning.
Can you kind of keep your fingers gently on the wheel, just to make sure
you could kind of see it move the wheel a little bit for me.
I want to make sure that when we get to the twisty part, that it
still does it.
It still does it, because if it disengages, that's also a loss of points. Because right now we're still at 50, and the reason it's such a hard test, in other words, the reason we subtracted half the points is because the point of having an autonomous car is for it to be autonomous, and if it can't drive itself, what's the point?
Exactly.
So so you were saying most popular sedan in the land?
Yeah, so it outsells the Honda Accord about 2-to-1. There's also, of course, like the Hyundai Sonata and the Kia K5, but a lot of other manufacturers, including like General Motors and even to some extent Stellantis, because they have a kind of they don't have a car directly competing with this, and also Ford. They don't have sedans anymore.
Yeah, well, sedans have gone the way of the Dodo, unfortunately.
But not for Toyota.
Yeah, Toyota's very conservative, so they still build them. And I think Ford might actually. Did you do that or
no,
didn't do that?
I did not do that.
So it kind of bounced.
It was pretty aggressive.
Yeah. So sometimes what we found in the past, at least with the lane keep and lane tracing, blah blah blah, is that it kind of bounces you between the lanes. But this one seems to be doing a good job of not bouncing.
Exactly. It just had a weird moment there where it kind of wanted to steer a little bit more aggressively.
Yeah, and there was a second there that keep your hands on the wheel. It kind of gave you a warning for a second.
Oh, really?
Yeah,
I didn't notice.
So look, here's my take on all these acronyms. very confusing and very unnecessary. I remember when the Tesla first came out and it had autopilot. I'm not even talking about FSD, I'm talking about autopilot.
Yes.
And there was a little stock, right? We've owned 6 Teslas now, and there was a little stock that you would just go like bloop, and you would turn it on and it would do all this. Basically it would do exactly
like almost cruise control, right?
Yeah, it would adapt to cruise control, keep you in the lane. It would just do it all with one little swipe, one little pull on a toggle. And you didn't have to activate or deactivate all these different systems. And I always found it very frustrating with Toyota when it makes you do this, that the difference between them is very subtle, because I can't tell the difference between them, between lane tracing and lane keep and lane centering, right? It all seems to be the same. The idea is it keeps you in the center of the lane, hopefully. And so why have it so confusing for the consumer? I would take points away just for that, but I'm not going to do it. But I would.
That's not part of our scoring system, really.
And does it do automatic lane changes?
No.
No.
Well, that's not part of the hands-free system, right? Because it's not a hands-free system, so it won't change lanes for you.
But you could potentially have it change lanes without being hands-free, right? Just by signaling, you could.
Yeah.
You could just, I mean, it's already kind of doing what it needs to do to keep you in the center of the lane.
I think Toyota has made all the acronyms really confusing, but I really like their methodical and just very determined way of doing this, right? Because they're offering the system free of charge on most of their vehicles they sell, and also it's a progression, right? It used to be 1.0, now 2.0, now it's 3.0, and soon they'll have 4.0.
All right, so let me ask you this question. If, let's call it FSD supervised, which we tested last time, which came, with a score of 85 points, is the best scoring system, then let's call that FSD 10.0. Where would this be on that scale? Where would you put this?
Well, the system we tested is 14.2, 0.2, 0.4.
No, I'm just saying, I'm making up
like on a scale of 0 to 10 or 1 to 10?
So to me, the Toyota system is level 2 autonomy all the way, if not level 3. Where would you put this? If that's 10, what's this? That's 10 being highest.
Very low.
I would call it a 3. I think it's fair. It's like 3 on a scale of 10, right? It is. It really is. It just doesn't do a whole lot except for keep you in your lane and make you yearn for something that actually drives a car on its own. And here's the problem with that, Andre. People are really good at driving cars, and we're really good at not driving cars. In other words, we're really good at driving, and we're really good at like being on our phone or playing video games or not paying attention. It's this in-between time that we're bad at, and this to me doesn't add a lot of value. At least this part that we're using on the highway. I think the other stuff like the autonomous braking, the part where if you're backing up and there's somebody behind you,
accident avoidance.
Yeah, that stuff helps a lot. But as a tool for the highway, I would just rather drive myself than have all this stuff turned on. It just makes it frustrating for me. I feel like it's trying to take control, but it doesn't have the ability to do so. So it just is somewhere in the middle, which is really bad. That's my take on these systems that aren't quite there yet.
Lane tracing assist unavailable.
So we lost it?
But it's still steering.
Okay, I see. And you still have the 2 green lines.
Yes. So I wonder if the lane tracing system, I think this is what it is, Roman.
Okay.
It needs a car ahead of us.
Oh,
and currently,
very smart, yeah.
Currently, we don't have a car ahead of us.
Just told you to put your hand back on the wheel?
No, it's talking about lane tracing system.
Oh, so it's dependent, it's following the car ahead of us?
Yeah, but it's still doing quite well, Roman, with the lane, I would call it lane keep system. So we're in the middle of the lane. And
we're not bouncing off of lanes?
No, we're not bouncing. So it's going to get more challenging. So the speed went down to 55. Now it's going down to 45.
Because we're going to the construction zone.
Yes. And it's going to get, really heavy constructions with cones and narrow lanes. So it's going to get way more and more difficult.
The other thing it's going to get is twisty.
Exactly.
What was that beeping for?
It said there was a vehicle on my side.
Okay,
so that was blind spot monitoring.
Okay.
Okay.
All right, there we go. Now we're back.
So
here's also the crazy thing. Even though it's 45 here, nobody's doing 45, Andre.
No, people are blowing past me.
I think you got to go faster. I think we're almost going too slow. I think it's dangerous. When cars are passing us at that speed, I think it's dangerous.
But I'm trying to follow the law, Roman.
I know you're trying to follow the law, but this is also another issue, right?
Well, that's why Tesla has 5 different FSD modes.
Yeah, so you can pick the speed you want. But I think you know, when cars are going 30 over the speed limit and we're doing the speed limit, which is what it feels like, it feels also dangerous.
Yes.
All right, now we're coming down a pretty steep hill, and there's a car in front of us, so maybe soon we should be able to do some lane
tracing behind it.
Okay, so it maybe comes back on, but is it still steering itself?
Yep.
All right, that's good. So let me ask you this. I just said that I don't like this system because, and I've used it before, let's be honest, this has been around a long time. I don't like the system because it's this halfway measure. Do you like this? Would you use this? It's telling you to put your, oh, it's lane tracing again.
Yeah, it didn't tell me to put my hands on.
At what point do we call it nagging and subtract points?
Well, I really dislike Toyota bells. When it starts chiming and ringing bells, like for example, seatbelt warning or something like that.
Is that annoying? God?
That's nagging.
Yeah.
Having a little message pop up, that's kind of mild.
Now we're getting into the, see, it just disengaged.
Oh, it just disengaged, but then it came back.
Yeah, but that's a 5-point deduction, Andre. It disengaged.
Can you make a note?
Yeah, it's 45 points. We're down 5. This is because we're getting into the twisty part.
Very twisty, and I'm now following the speed limit because people have slowed down.
Yeah, because it's twisty.
And it's twisty.
Yeah.
And we're passing construction right now.
So we had one disengagement. Even though it came back on, it's still disengaged. And it beeped, of course.
Lane tracing unavailable. That's really confusing when it keeps saying that. There is a car ahead of us now.
Yeah. Oh, it's coming pretty close to the side
Wow.
here. Oh, I didn't like that.
I had to almost help it. Yes. That wasn't dramatic though.
If the Tesla system drives like an adult and Blue Cruise drives like a teenager, this drives
like a toddler.
Like a toddler, yeah, exactly. That's where we're at in the development of this. Look, I don't mean to be harsh because I do appreciate the fact that the Japanese have given us all this stuff for free. Like I remember when we bought our 911, Porsche didn't give you a blind spot monitoring, and that 911 cost $158,000, Andre.
Which is ridiculous.
Which is freaking ridiculous that they make you pay for blind side monitoring in a $158,000 car. So I do appreciate that the Japanese are having a little bit of an arms race and they're all putting all the safety tech in. But when it comes to actually autonomy and hands-free driving, this is where it kind of falls short.
So Roman, this was like several years ago, and I was in Texas, basically at Toyota headquarters. And I remember there was an opportunity to drive a Lexus LS sedan with the latest hands-free system at the time.
Okay.
So they have been working on this, right? It's just I think that the company overall, Toyota, is conservative. So even though they have the technology to do it, they haven't rolled out the technology to every car because it's also a costly system probably, right? And also the capability, and by the way, level 3 means that the company takes legal responsibility for it, right?
That's exactly right. That's the biggest difference between level 2 and level 3, and that's why we kind of surmise that the Tesla system might be level 3, but Tesla doesn't want to call it level 3 because it would mean that it would be legally responsible for an accident if it were to happen. Look, I agree with what you're saying, but there is a little caveat there, and that is once you put in the hardware, and Tesla's using only cameras.
Yes.
Did it do something?
It went white and then went green again.
Okay, we're not going to deduct anything for that. Here's the caveat. If you're using only cameras and you're not installing LiDAR, right, hardware that's expensive, then you've got this potential profit center in the company that allows you to make money because it's just software then, and it doesn't cost you any more, obviously, to sell software.
Dude, software could be very hard, as everybody has found out recently, though.
Yes, we're seeing that right now. Now, here's something interesting. If you want to watch the video where we compared Blue Cruise in the Explorer to Tesla's full self-driving, we found that it actually disengaged in this tunnel for some reason. So let's see if this disengages.
It didn't like the tunnel.
It didn't. I don't know why. It just didn't like the tunnel.
Okay, so the headlights are automatic.
Yep.
So that's all good. It's liking it. It went through.
Okay, well, this doesn't mind the tunnel. That's good.
Lane tracing assist unavailable soon. Oh, is that because I'm inattentive?
I don't know. We don't know. It's very confusing.
And it's also that message disappears very quickly.
Yeah. So let us know in the comments below if you have had experience with this and you know why it's doing that. I mean, I just read basically what Toyota, the AI synopsis of what Toyota says these systems do. And to me, the three sound very identical, right? I don't really know the difference between, let me go back here, proactive driving assist, lane departure alert with steering assist, and lane tracing assist, otherwise known as LTA, LDA with SA and PDA. They all sound like they do the same thing. All right, so we're about to exit, and we're at 45 points, my man.
Yeah, there was one moment when it went orange. It was unhappy about that sharp turn.
Yep.
And then the rest of it was, there was that moment where it tried to steer to the right.
But we didn't detect anything. It just was weird.
Yeah, it was a little weird.
Yeah.
But I never felt unsafe. Like, the system was trying to, was about to cause an accident or something like that.
So maybe at this point in the video, we go to the leaderboard and we'll put up so far the three vehicles that we have tested.
Yes.
And you guys can use this demonstration
as a guide
if autonomy is important to you. This is a way that we're judging it, and hopefully this is a way that you can help use it to make your buying decisions.
Mm-hmm.
All right, Andre. So it got only 45 points because it lost two big deductions.
Yes.
It doesn't have point-to-points, and it doesn't have hands-free driving, even though it will let you go like 15 seconds without touching the wheel.
Exactly, and I could feel it steering, right? We tried to show it, we showed it, where it was actually following the lanes, especially in the slow. I was glad the speed limit went down in the construction zone. That made me a lot more comfortable.
So, do you like this system? Is this something that if you had a Toyota, newer one, because you have a Toyota,
yes,
would you use this on a road trip?
I think I would use it on a road trip, just not in this section of the highway. Because this section of the highway, I feel like there's so much going on. I would rather drive myself. But when I'm in Utah going to Moab, and that 80 mile an hour straight road, straight highway, I think I would use this system then.
Well, let us know in the comments below if you are familiar with Toyota system, and if you like using it or not. We'd certainly be interested in your opinion. And come back next time when we'll have another car on the world's toughest hands-free driving test, the Woolly Mammoth Challenge. See you next time. Ciao.